So this video is going to be about our boat hunting process.
It's been a little crazy, and we've looked at 5 boats or 4 boats?
5, I think.
5 boats. And the reason why we haven't looked at so many is because we have such a strict criteria. Yeah, strict criteria for the boats. We want one that has a generator. We want one that has air conditioning. We want one that's over 40 feet.
That has a nice layout.
Yeah, we want everything. But so it started off, the first boat that we went to look at was a Nelson Merrick 454. It's like a Morgan built boat. But
we should start off by saying what the process was getting there. So it was about a 3-hour drive, right? A 3-hour drive.
Yeah, just about.
It was storming. Literally a hurricane was coming in. So while we're literally 30 minutes out, and the guy calls us and says it's like pouring rain. It's not a good idea to come right now. And we're like,
we're already here.
We're already here, so we want to see it. And when I say you should go look at a boat when it's raining, because then you'll definitely know if like it leaks or any of that stuff. But so on the drive up there, Austin had a great time by himself because I was passed out.
She always sleeps.
I was sleeping, and I slept the whole way there.
And it was raining so hard you probably couldn't even see 50 feet in front of you. I mean, it was so sketchy.
It was crazy.
Drive.
Yeah.
And she was just passed out. You know, my co-pilot's just not available at all.
That's how it usually goes.
So we get to the boat, and it's drizzling out, so it's not raining as hard anymore, and we go to the back of the house, and the boat looks a lot bigger in person. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I've learned about the boat hunting the boat process is when you see them in person, they're so much bigger than you think. The pictures don't do the boats justice at all, especially in the look, the design, and everything.
It was a beautiful boat. Like the outside of the boat was absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Like he said, it was a
Nelson Merrick 454.
But when we got inside, it was literally like downpouring.
It was like raining on us inside the boat.
It was bad. It was horrible.
We were shocked that we're like, why is it raining inside? Isn't the boat supposed to keep you from the elements, kind of thing? And so yeah, we thought about that boat might be an option.
It felt really, even though it was like a nice sized boat, it felt very small inside and constricted. It did not feel spacious. It felt very very small in a way, even though it was a big boat. So
then we drove home, back in the hurricane, 2 hours of driving and just crazy weather. Finally get home, and we go look at another boat.
And we are off to look at more boats.
This is a 42-foot boat. It is much roomier inside, but the problem with this boat was there was no generator, so it had air conditioning. It had what we kind of wanted, other than the generator.
And it was beautiful. It looked like a pirate ship. I loved it, and it had a really old like feeling to it, which I liked. The inside was really pretty. It was a little bit more spacious in the inside than the previous boat that we looked at. This was by far, so far out of 2 boats, was my favorite.
Nikki loved that boat. So then the next boat we looked at was a Tayana 42.
We are on our way to see another boat. We are seeing a Tayana. I was really excited about this boat.
I was excited because Tayanas or Tayana, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like a world-class, sailing around the world boat. They're really heavily built. They're really strong. They're cruising all over the world. You could see people in Australia.
When we were riding up to it, like on the dinghy, it was a very pretty boat. Like it was definitely a really pretty from the outside boat. So when we got on it,
it's like one of those things where on paper it looked great. It had a wind vane, it had a generator, it had air conditioning, it had davits, it had a dinghy, it had solar panels, it had everything you could want on a boat. It had a water maker, it had everything. So we're like, hey, this is a world-class cruiser. It has everything we need, has updated electronics. But once we stepped foot on the boat,
it was horrible.
Everything changed.
I hated the boat so much. First of all, when you're selling a boat, like you think that you would like make it nice where people want to buy it. Like I would make sure it smelled good. I would make sure that like the beds were made, like everything was not cluttery. You go in this boat, and it was a freaking disaster. It looked like a freaking bomb went off. The guy, like, you couldn't even, like, see the V-berth because it was so, like, the guy just shoved so much stuff into it. It was not a good smelling boat. It literally was horrible. I hated it.
Yeah, and I think the worst part about it was that when you go to the cockpit, the bimini or whatever above you, it was too low. And it came up to probably right here on me, so you couldn't stand up and sail.
I hit my head like
So I
3
went to the
times.
back to go see, you know, okay, how's this gonna look if I'm sailing the boat and steering it, and I hit my head, and then Nikki hits her head, and I, you know, turned to the broker, and I'm...
What's up, Austin?
What's up?
How do you feel?
Good. And so it was just odd. We just,
I hated the boat.
yeah.
I thought it was like ugly on the inside. I was like, Austin, I hate this. And Austin got a little frustrated with me. I'll look at it ever again.
Why'd you even ask me?
Are you done?
Yes.
Why are you getting so cranky?
It's
cranky,
all you care about is the, like, how it looks. All
No,
you care
I
about
was-
is like the inside and like how you could live.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
true.
That's what you're gonna do the whole
Yeah, but
time.
we-
How are
but-
you supposed to live on a boat if
I
you
get
hate
that,
it?
but if we get caught in 50-foot seas, you're gonna wish we had this one.
No,
over.
because I just like hated it so much. And Austin gets very persuaded by like forums and the things he reads on the internet.
I like the fact that it is a world-class cruising boat, so it's really
So he was like, this is a blue water capable boat. This is so good. We need this boat. It's so strong. So and I was just like ragging on it so hard.
So after the Tayana, we went and, well, let's backtrack. When we were looking at the Endeavor, our broker, he brought a little pamphlet of a boat called the Flying Dutchman that was for sale. And the asking price on the Flying Dutchman was $89,000.
And he even said that like it was out of our budget, but he was like, it's a cool boat. You should just like look at it because it's like a really neat boat. I know it's out of your budget, but you know, just take a look at the pictures. It's like a really awesome looking boat. So,
And yeah, so I've never heard of a Flying Dutchman. It looked pretty cool. It had a canoe stern and then it had a clipper bow. So it was a really cool look on it. And it had, you know, everything that we wanted. It had the generator, it had 3 AC units, it had, you know, some crazy things like forward-facing sonar, you know, updated electronics, updated batteries.
yeah.
I mean, it had everything that we wanted on a boat. And so we're like, wow, but the only thing was, it was $90,000, and we don't have that kind of
Yeah.
money to spend on a boat. So a few days go past, and I'm sitting at the dinner table, and I think to myself, whatever happened to that Flying Dutchman? Let's take a look at it. And so I pull it up, and it turns out that night, the seller actually dropped the price about $20,000. So I immediately called my broker, and I said, hey, earliest thing in the morning, I want to go look at this boat. And I did some research on it, and it turns out it's the same thing as a Tayana, pretty much. It's built in the exact same shipyard, and they're like cruising the world. You have some for sale in New Zealand and Australia, and I mean, they're everywhere. So
the next morning we get in the car. The boat we are seeing is like a pirate ship. It's really cool. It's called the Flying Dutchman. It's really cool. We get in the car and we drive, which it wasn't a long drive. I think it was like a 30-minute drive, 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
It was like pretty close. So we drive to the boat, and as we're walking up, it's absolutely beautiful. It is like one of the prettiest boats I've seen. Not the pretty, but it's for that, like it was a really pretty boat. And it looked like a pirate ship. I loved it. So like he said, it had like the canoe stern, which was really cool on it. So we get up on board. It has teak decks. They're a little bit outdated, but I thought they were still beautiful. I love teak decks. I think it's so like, it has such an old like feel about it, which I personally like. I know like the new production boats are very like sleek and clean, but I don't know, I personally like the old feel of boats. I think it's just very old and traditional. So we go, the cockpit area was nice. It was a little small just because like when you're living on a boat, you want like a nice sized cockpit, and I really wanted like a table, and it didn't have one. That was like really a negative for me. But then when you go inside, oh my goodness, I knew it. I knew it was the one once I went inside because it literally was so spacious. The kitchen was huge. The living area was huge. The bedroom was like awesome, and it even had a little vanity with a little pull-out chair. Let's get a drawer. Okay, hold on. There we go. For my makeup.
yeah, and it had, I mean, it was crazy. It had 3 cabins, 2 heads or bathrooms with showers. It was
A lot of space.
an awesome boat. And then on the
locker space and
on the decks it was just huge on the decks. The deck space was crazy. It was just what we thought was a perfect boat. And so, you know, we put an offer in.
Well, we didn't want to get too excited, but that didn't work. So right when we got in the car, we called my grandpa, and then we called FaceTime my dad. We're gonna call my daddy and tell him that we put an offer in. Hello. You are such a rude. Are you in the car?
Yes.
Guess what?
What?
We put an offer on a boat.
I love it.
After we put an offer in, we were like so excited about it, and so we put an offer in. The guy countered, and then we agreed on a price. So now we are waiting. We are going next week to go do the inspection and the sea trial. So we'll see what happens. So fingers crossed. We're super excited about that.
So we'll see. Stay tuned for the next video.
Bye guys.